Hello, world, and welcome to the Quick Kick Picks presented by Bros Talking Soccer. My name is Dave Knittel here with my brother Christian. It is MLS match week 5. We're ready to talk some MLS. Christian, are you excited?
Dave, I can't wait for MLS, and I can't wait for this podcast.
Not a podcast, it's a video, but that's fine.
Whatever it is, I don't know.
Whatever it is, all right, I like it. Kicking things off Friday, March 29th, we got Toronto FC hosting New York City FC, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen in this one?
Well, in my opinion, I see probably a draw in this match. I don't think Toronto has looked that great. I know they beat the Union, but who doesn't these days? I think that they're a solid squad, but they're not really blowing the world away. Is Josie Altidore back this week? I don't know. He is?
Well, so he was a sub last week in their most recent game. I think they took off this past week, but yeah, so he's back. I don't know if he's going to be starting, but he's definitely back.
Okay, well, that's a definite positive for Toronto because now they have a striker with Giovinco now out of the team because he has left. And New York City really hasn't started the season too well. Looks like they have 4 draws in all competitions to kick off this year. I see them getting another draw in Toronto, and it's going to be a low-scoring affair, if any goals at all, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I like Michael Bradley. I think he's playing very well for club and country. He had a down season last season, especially with the U.S. missing the World Cup, and I felt like he just took a lot of that on himself. He's bouncing back and playing very, very well. Christian already mentioned Josie's back. Also, Pozuelo, their new signing, he said he's going to be ready to play, and so that'll be a big get for Toronto. And you know they've only played, I believe, 2 or 3 matches, but still undefeated and all of that. NYCFC 3 straight draws in MLS, 4 in all competitions. Mitrita has looked excellent, and they just brought in Herbert to address their center forward issues, but I don't know if he is going to be ready. I'm getting a little bit of an echo, so we apologize for that. I think TFC actually gets a home victory here. 2-1, continue their perfect start in MLS. Christian, anything else you want to add?
The only thing I want to add is Toronto has had historical trouble with New York City FC and have only beaten them once in MLS, which is a pretty shocking stat. So we'll see if they can add to that this week.
Absolutely. So we'll be following that. Next match, getting to Saturday, March 30th, we got Chicago Fire versus New York Red Bulls, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what are you expecting to happen here?
I could see only one victor in this game, and that would be the New York Red Bulls. I think that Chicago Fire are a little bit of a mess right now. I don't think that they're a complete disaster, but it's alarm bells time right now. I don't think that they're going to get anything from this game. I think this is going to be a little bit more comfortable for New York Red Bulls, and if anything, I'm going to guess a 2-goal win and a 2-0 victory.
On the road, interesting. That's a bold prediction. So Chicago Fire just signed Nico Gaitan, the Argentinian player. I'm curious what that means for Mihailovic in this system. Fire are still winless, and they haven't looked great. I thought they looked okay in the first half against the Galaxy in their first match. Since then, haven't looked too great. I do like what I've seen from Frankowski, and I think they can be dangerous in attack. I'm just not convinced by their defense. Meanwhile, the Red Bulls coming off that kind of surprising loss to Orlando City. I think that's just early season sort of settling in, but I think that might continue in this one. They still have some issues, some injuries that they're dealing with. They got to sort out the whole Kaku situation, all that. But with all that said, I think this ends up being a draw. Both teams get points. Christian, anything else to add here?
Nope.
All right, next match we got is New England Revolution facing Minnesota United, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. Christian, what are you expecting to happen here?
Well, I'm expecting Minnesota to also get a road victory here. I think that New England is a disaster right now, 3 straight losses, and it's not looking like there's any bright sparks coming out of that camp.
Everybody getting road wins.
Yeah, everybody's winning this week. Minnesota, contrastingly, one of those words, is going to definitely get a road. I'm saying definitely getting a road win this week. They have won their last 2 of their last 3 games on the road. They have had 3 straight road games, which is really ridiculous, and this is going to be a 4th. And the only loss they had was to LA Galaxy, who are a pretty solid squad. They beat San Jose down pretty much in a 3-0 victory in San Jose, and the Vancouver Whitecaps. I know neither of those teams are really that good, but Minnesota are playing against the New England Revolution, who are also not good. So I'm definitely predicting goals in that one for Minnesota, and I'm going to go 3-1 victory.
All right, there you have it. The reason they played so many on the road is because Allianz Field, they're waiting to open in April. They wanted to start a bunch of matches on the road because, hey, it's cold in Minnesota in the late winter, early.
Why do you think I'm wearing my jacket, Dave?
There you go. Christian's prepared for that weather. The Revs are an absolute mess right now. Brad Friedel called in a closed-door meeting this week. Players look disinterested with the squad. It's not a good look for the club. So things are a bit of a mess there. Minnesota, their hot start was cooled off by LA Galaxy. Christian already touched on that. I really like what I'm seeing from this Minnesota squad. I like the stability in their spine, and they do have some really talented players in attack. Having said all of that, I think the negative attention is going to spur the Revs on, and it's so tough to win on the road in MLS. And I'm actually predicting a somewhat tight home victory for the Revs. Christian, anything you want to add here?
Don't think so.
All right, next match we got is Sporting Kansas City versus Montreal Impact, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 30th. Christian, what do you think is going to happen here?
Again, I'm going to say this is pretty straightforward for Sporting Kansas City. I think Montreal started decently well, considering they've played all their games on the road so far. It's always tough to do that, especially in MLS, and they have gotten 2 wins out of those games in San Jose, again, who are and Orlando, who I also think are just not that great, and they have a lot of new players, so they're kind of gelling together, and they're in a rebuilding period right now. So the one loss they have is to Houston, who I mean aren't that great, but they're not a bad team either. So Sporting Kansas City are by far the best team they're going to have come up against at this point, and I can't see any way that Montreal get a point in this game. In Sporting Kansas City, I'm going to guess a 2-1 victory. I'm going to call it close here because Montreal has played pretty well against everyone they've played so far, but Sporting just has way too much quality to give it up here.
I'm in agreement with you on a lot of different fronts. The international break, Sporting Kansas City took off. I trust Vermees to have his troops ready, for this match. I think they're going to come out firing. The Shallowy injury is obviously going to hurt them from a depth perspective and an offensive substitution perspective, but I don't think he was starting anyways, and it's not going to be an enormous loss for them. I think they can cope with it. Meanwhile, Montreal has had a good start on the road. Piatti and Taider have looked very dynamic in attack. At the end of the Orlando City play, I don't know what Diallo was thinking in just getting into it with Dom Dwyer and ended up getting a boneheaded red card. And that's going to be a huge loss for Montreal in this game. For those reasons, I'm also in agreement, Christian. SKC, easy victory. Anything else you want to add on this one?
Yeah, Montreal beat Sporting Kansas City last year in their last meeting. But before that, Sporting Kansas City had not lost in 6 games against them. And I think that's going to be the trend again here.
Love it. Love the interesting facts from Christian. Definitely research them hours in advance before recording this video. Next up, we got San Jose Earthquakes taking on the Los Angeles Football Club, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've already kind of alluded to this. San Jose, Christian, what are you expecting in this one?
Well, San Jose, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed your homestay. And let's look to the next game because LAFC are going to tear through this team. They are a disaster at the back. LAFC have a lot of quality going forward, and they're just a better squad overall. I'm saying another 3-0 loss at home for San Jose this week.
So I'm in agreement that it's likely going to be a loss for San Jose. It's unfortunate. Right now, they look like the worst team in the league. I think on paper, they also look like the worst team in the league. They just don't have the talent. And I'm not sure what Almeida, the new manager, is supposed to do. And I really hope he's given the time by fans and management. But I'm just worried that he's not going to get enough time and he may be out before he's really able to make an impact there. Conversely, LAFC, they might be the best team in the entire league. They're one of the top 3 teams in the West from my perspective. They might have the most talented squad on paper. All of those factors are going to play a role in this. Walker Zimmerman.
Arguably the best coach in MLS as well.
Yeah, excellent point there. Walker Zimmerman, since signing the contract, has been fantastic at center back. Carlos Vela might be the best player in the league. Diego Rossi is fantastic. And the list just keeps going on and on. I find it very, very tough to see San Jose getting a result here. It is MLS, so it's a possibility, but I think LAFC gets a road victory here as well. Christian, anything else you want to add?
I don't know if has San Jose beaten LAFC in the past. I think that LAFC have won 3 and drawn 1 of their 4 matches that they've played so far, and I just can't see a possible realistic scenario where they get anything from this game.
It is MLS, and crazier things have happened. I remember it was either last year or the year before. FC Dallas was the best team in the league, and Colorado was one of the worst, and Colorado beat them 4-0 on the road. And so things like that happen in MLS, but I'm in agreement with you. I think LAFC gets the victory here. Moving things right along, FC Cincinnati versus our Philadelphia Union, the team Christian and I support, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what are you expecting to happen here?
I think it's going to be a tough game for the Union. I think it's going to be close, but I still think just on the road, the Union still are they don't have an identity, in my opinion. I think they looked much better this past week with their formation. Obviously, it suits Medunjanin, who was probably the best player on the pitch, and David Accam, for some reason, was scoring goals, which I don't think anybody in the world can understand how that happened. And they have to be playing 4-2-3-1. I don't think that they will. I think they'll revert back to their 4-2 or 4-4 diamond midfielders too. But I can only hope that going forward, they're going to play a 4-2-3-1. It has more balance. It allows the best out of their current team. And FC Cincinnati right now, I mean, they have a couple of good results, and they're 2-1-2, right, in their last 5 games. And they're a solid squad, and I think the Union just are still trying to discover what they are at home. Cincinnati gets a result here. I'm going to actually go with a draw, and it'll look good for the Union because I think Cincinnati are going to dominate the play.
Interesting. So here's a fact for you. If FC Cincinnati gets a win in this match, that would be the best start in MLS history for an expansion franchise. So that's something for them to play for. We've already seen their home crowd is very raucous. It creates an incredible atmosphere. And, we've heard that the fans, almost feel on top of the field. And so it's a really cool sort of dynamic there. Now, having said all of that, they've gotten their identity figured out. Like Christian said, after the loss to Seattle, they have a much better playing style. Kenny Saif has looked great in attack. Kekuta Mane looks rejuvenated after, not having a couple years. He's in a bit of form, and they do look dangerous. Now, Christian, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on the Union front. I think they have an identity. They've been creating chances. Their whole issue has been scoring goals. They got 3 goals against Columbus, and if they can keep that trend happening, I'm excited.
But their defense is a mess too because of their defensive midfielder, which is another identity issue, in my opinion.
I don't think it's a mess. I think that it is
the wrong person.
Well, yeah, it's just they concede big chances, right? And so it's not like they concede a ton of chances. They just concede very good goal scoring opportunities. And so they do need to figure out the Medunjanin situation. If Montero can come in, add support in the center of midfield, maybe that would be something good to see. Marco Fabian should be back. It'd be interesting to see if they find a way to get David Accam still in the lineup. I think this could be one of the best matches in MLS this weekend. I'm also predicting a 2-2 high scoring draw. So Christian, anything else you want to add here?
You think we're going to score 2 goals on the road?
I do.
Okay, interesting.
I think the Union are. I don't think we are because we don't play for the club.
Well, I might.
You might. Very true. You're all geared up, ready to go. Next up, we got Columbus Crew hosting Atlanta United, also at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. Christian, what do you think is going to happen here?
This is a close one. I think Columbus are a very good squad right now. I know they got blown away by the Union last week, but it's not really fair. They were missing a lot of their international players, and although the Union were too, they just missed a lot of key pieces. I think that Will Trapp being back in that center of midfield is a huge pickup for Columbus, obviously, or I guess return, not really a pickup, but just a return to the center midfield. For the U.S., I thought he was the best player on the field in that first international match, and he was really controlling things, was finding those long diagonal passes in behind. And Atlanta United, contrastly, are a very, very talented squad going forward. They look a little bit shaky at the back this year, but I think that they're going to find their way. They're just still in transition, missing their best player from last season. And I think Pitti and Joseph Martinez will finally start to link up a little bit more. I'm going to predict a road win, Dave, and I am excited to see what the Atlanta of old is able to do this year because I think that they're going to be back to their best. It's going to be a 2-1 victory in Columbus.
All right, the 3-year-old Atlanta franchise will return to their
old last year.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm in agreement. Columbus getting a bunch of their starters back. Zach Steffen should be back from injury. He's obviously a huge guy to get back. And also, don't forget, Columbus was top of the East before the Union result last week. Don't read too much into that. I'm in agreement with Christian there. The other thing is that, or not the other thing, but another thing about this match is Atlanta had the full international break for DeBoer to sort of institute his ideas even more. It takes time for players and a new manager to sort of coalesce, get all of their ideas going, and sort of improve and execute on what the new coach wants to have or new manager wants to have. And so I think all of that should be incorporated at least better than what it has been. I can understand fans and management getting a little impatient, but they need to have patience when anytime there's a new manager. I do also think Ezekiel Barco has been more impactful for Atlanta this year. He's really stepping up, and I expect that to continue in this one. Having said all of that, I'm actually predicting a Columbus home victory here and absolute hysteria amongst Atlanta fans. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
All right. Next match we got. Oh, no, I'm dropping papers here. That's going to be a problem later in this video. Real Salt Lake hosting FC Dallas, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what do you think is going to happen here?
Another team that's really been struggling at the start of this year is RSL, and I just don't know what they're going to do to get out of this funk right now. I think that they're a little bit of an older squad and don't seem to be able to figure themselves out. I just really sure. I'm not sold on them as a team. I think that they need to add more quality into their lineup right now. And FC Dallas is another team that almost seems to be in transition now. And they seem to be producing players all the time that are becoming star younger players, and then they're moved on. And I know that's the ideal model for a lot of teams that don't have a lot of money, and it's to build up the youth and try and generate a revenue stream that way. But I still just, this game is a little bit confusing to me. I don't really know where to go with it. I don't think either team really has a huge advantage. But if I had to pick a result, I would pick a draw. And I'm going with a 0-0, very boring draw.
Interesting. Okay. So I'm going to disagree from the perspective of RSL being old. I think that they're struggling with their identity and figuring themselves out, but they also have a ton of homegrown players. They're still relatively young. So I'm going to disagree on that front and just say that the reason that they don't have an identity is because they still have a lot of young players. Losing to LAFC in heartbreaking fashion last week is obviously not great. They only have one win on the season, but that came at home. They haven't looked great on the road. This one is at Rio Tinto, so that's going to be a plus for Real Salt Lake. Dallas, on the other hand, has looked good at home, but not great on the road this season. I've been very excited by Paxton Pomacle's performances for FC Dallas, so I want to see that continue. Both clubs have a commitment to homegrown players, and we could see a record set with number of homegrowns and academy players in a match, so I'm going to be looking out for that, and it'll be interesting. I actually like the fact that both clubs still have a lot to figure out. They have a lot of young players, and I actually think this could be a high-scoring match, and it could end up being a 3-2 RSL win. So that's what I'm predicting. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
All right, let me see. I think I got these back in order. Yes, I did. Colorado Rapids at the same time is taking on Houston Dynamo, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same game, same time as the RSL versus Dallas match. Christian, what are you expecting to happen in this one?
Another two teams that I don't really know much about in terms of their identities, and is a very, very close matchup again. I think there's a lot of close matchups this week. I know we started with a couple that were not so close, and I predicted a lot of road wins, but now it's more even, and I think Colorado at home are just going to be a little bit better than Houston are going to be on the road. I think Colorado do see this one out in a close-fought victory, and I'm going to guess a 2-1 win for Colorado.
I'm in agreement that both of these sides, I don't really know what to expect here. I've had high hopes for Colorado. I thought they made a lot of good offseason signings. It hasn't translated to success on the field. Now, there might be a reason for that. They've played 4 matches so far, and they've played against 4 of arguably the top 5 teams in the West. And so that's a tough start for the side that's sort of kind of revamped themselves. I have seen encouraging signs from them. Conversely, Houston, they're still undefeated in MLS play, but this is going to be their first away match in MLS. Again, I've already mentioned it. It's very tough to win on the road. Colorado, I feel like gets a home victory here. I'm going to go with a 3-1 victory. Getting back to Houston, I still don't know Albert Elise and Romel Kyoto what to expect every match. They're just not consistent enough That's a better way to say it.
You're not consistent consistently either.
Yeah. So, yeah, for that reason, I'm going to go with a Colorado victory at home. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, Houston didn't give up a goal to Colorado in either of their games last year, which is a surprising stat. But I can't imagine that they don't give up a goal in this game, and at least probably two.
Yeah, I like what Colorado's done with revamping their attack. Kai Kamara, Diego Rubio, another season with Kellen Acosta and all that. Yeah, I like them here. The last match of the day on Saturday, Vancouver Whitecaps are taking on Seattle Sounders. Cascadia action. Christian, what do you think is going to happen here?
Seattle look like one of the best teams in MLS right now. They are 3 for 3 in their games in MLS play, and they just look like a machine right now. They've only conceded 3 goals, scored 10, have the best goal difference in MLS right now, I believe. And they just look very, very talented going forward. They look pretty solid at the back. They really it looks like the whole package in Seattle right now. And that's going to give a lot of fear to the Vancouver Whitecaps this week, because I'm not really sold on them. They've obviously lost their last 3 games that they've played. They have been, you said, on the road for most of their games so far, right? Was that them? No?
Nope. I don't know. I didn't say it. I don't have the information.
Sorry, wait. Okay, maybe I'm just making that up. I don't know why I thought you said that earlier, but I think I lied. All right, so yeah, Vancouver I just never really know what to expect from them. They never are really that high up in MLS, and they're never really that low down. I guess sometimes they can be a little bit further down than up, but I'm not really sold on their squad. Seattle have won the last 3 games that they've played against Vancouver, so I expect that streak to continue, and Seattle takes the lead in MLS, in my opinion, after this week. Well, not LA. What?
And I thought you were done, so I was going to say my bad. So Vancouver, for me, new manager, ton of player turnover. So predictably, they've had a rough start to this season. I think Marc Dos Santos will be a good manager, but similar to the whole San Jose situation, I don't know if he's going to be given enough time. Seattle has had a very strong start. Rui Diaz has looked great. Roldan and Morris, I don't know why I gave them accents, have looked very good, but both had pretty poor performances during the international break for the U.S. men's national team. I don't know if that shakes their confidence in any way coming back to this. I have no rhyme or reason for predicting this, but I'm predicting Vancouver to get a home victory. Rivalry match. Passion's going to be there. No logic behind this, but Vancouver's going to win. Christian, anything else you want to
add? No, but I think Vancouver winning is a dumb pick.
All right. Well, sometimes you just got to heat check. You just got to feel it. And so we'll see what happens. And when you got to risk it to get the biscuit, right? Absolutely. You know that game. All right. Moving to Sunday, March 31st, Orlando City is taking on DC United, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what do you think is going to happen here?
I don't know why you're singing DC United over there. I don't really like that, but
colors too. I'm just realizing.
You are. Yeah. What's wrong with you? So I expect a tight game here. I think Orlando are not that great of a squad, but they have some talent, and I think they're starting to gel a little bit more. They only have 1 win on the season, but I still think that there's a lot more to come from Orlando. DC United look very, very good at times, and they can look very ordinary at times. I think Wayne Rooney is probably going to be the best player on the field, obviously, up there with
Nani fan.
What?
Not a Nani fan?
Not a big Nani guy. No. I think Nani's okay, but he's pretty much past it, as I think Rooney is, but Rooney's obviously a much better player. I think DC are a better squad overall. I think it's going to be tightly contested, like I said. I think Orlando does get a result out of this game, but only a draw. I don't see them beating DC this week.
Yeah, DC's been fantastic. Still haven't given up a goal. They've been great in basically all facets of the game, attacking and defending. Now, the whole RSL match, when RSL imploded on themselves and DC got a 5-0 victory, sort of skews the numbers a bit, but still, DC has been fantastic. Orlando City getting a surprise win at Red Bull last week. I don't think anybody really expected that. I like what they're building in Orlando, but I ultimately think DC's talent and just the way that they've been playing so far this season enables them to get a road victory. So I'm predicting DC to get a road win here. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Last match of the weekend. LA Galaxy taking on Portland Timbers, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen here?
Well, the Timbers have given up 10 goals this year, which is not what you want. And
record, I believe, 3
yeah,
games.
what you were about to do. Yeah, sorry. What you were about to yell is correct. Timber is what's happening over there in their defense. We're brothers. I know, we can tell.
Yep. That was exactly what I was going to say.
Yep.
So, yeah.
You might as well just call this one off at the moment. I think that they're going to be leaking goals. They're coming up against arguably the best striker in the league right now, in Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And I know that's hard to say because there's a lot of talent, but natural talent and ability, you got to say Ibra's probably the best striker in the league. I can't see anyone on this Portland team being able to contain him. Nobody really can. And I think he scores at least twice this week, and LA win 4-1. This leaky defense for the Timbers just isn't going to get it done.
Yeah, in addition to Zlatan potentially being back from injury, Alessandrini is going to be back, and that's going to be a huge boost for the LA Galaxy. They're still chasing defensive reinforcements. I saw there's a report that they're going after the Costa Rican center back who used to play for Columbus. His name is escaping me right now. That'll be good if they can eventually get them in, but that's something to look out for on the defensive side. Diego Chara being back for Portland after the whole ear-flicking suspension, which was idiotic, is going to be huge because they are a completely different team when he's not in the side. Having said all that, I think LA Galaxy have the edge, and Portland again loses and their woeful start continues. Don't freak out, Portland fans. When your stadium opens, you have a ton of home games on the back end, and I think ultimately you're going to be fine. Christian, anything else to add here?
Nope.
Everybody, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us. Go enjoy MLS Match Week 5. This has been Quick Kick Picks, presented by Bros Talking Soccer. We'll talk to you soon, everybody. See ya. Have a good one.